Welcome to another episode of Vanquish. My name is Samkelo Khatebe, and this is the one show where odds and obstacles exist to be conquered. So with me today, I've got Reinhardt. This is a man who has been out there for so many years, and most importantly, he has also been a part of the SASAPD to assist them. Because, guys, if we don't help our own organizations, who's going to do it? So I've got Reinhardt with me, joining me all the way from the Western Cape. Buddy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us. It is that time of COVID, so everything is virtual these days. Before we even go that far, there's something on your left-hand side of the screen. Can you just tell us what that is? Oh, yes.
That's has to be my pride and joy. It's my Rio 2016 gold medal. It stays hung up like that. I don't touch the medal, and it has to be preserved for as long as possible. And it looks very nice in the corner there.
So for someone who doesn't know who you are and what you do, can you just give us a brief breakdown of what Reinhardt is about?
Yeah, so I am a two-time world champion from 2013 and 2015. Also a Paralympic gold medalist, and I also am a full-time dad and avid sports photographer.
Well, that's good. Now, where did it all begin? Because you really came to the forefront at the Rio Paralympics, where most people really, got to know you. So where did it all begin for you?
It all started in 2003, and that was my first national championships with SASAPD, and everything went pretty smoothly with my, provincial career and going to nationals, and then obviously we had the bit of a speed bump in 2008 with Athens, and then I left the sport to try and maybe focus on my working career, and then I saw all my friends going to London 2012, and I thought, you know what, this is it. I can't be sitting here watching my friends go to the Paralympic Games. I want to be there as well. And I came back. I think I lost like 30 or 40 kilos in the space of like 3 or 4 months. And the next thing you know, I'm back at training. Went to my first World Championships in 2013, and since then it's just been hard work, dedication, and now I sit with all these amazing medals and this beautiful one behind me.
So, when you're saying that you actually took time off to go and focus on a professional career, and then you saw your friends going to Paralympics in London, do you have regrets about taking that time off? Because how many medals would you have by now if you had actually decided to continue with the sport?
I think if I had to have continued with the sport, I probably have an additional medal or two. But I think in life, I don't ever regret what I've done. I think probably the hardest thing that I've done was to stop working. I maybe should have continued working because obviously now in today's age, it's a bit difficult to get a job now. But I think it's something that I would definitely do again without hesitation. And I think the best thing for me was to choose the sport above a working career when I went back. Because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be sitting here chatting to you. I wouldn't be having the medal behind me or any of the medals that I have and any impact that I've made in the sport so far.
That's very true. Now, you haven't really told people what you got the gold medal from. Because you and I have tried on the track because you felt confident enough that you could challenge me, and I remember destroying you. What events do you do?
Leading up to Rio 2016, I did discus and shot put, and closer on to Rio 2016, I let's call it ditched the shot put and discus and focused purely on javelin. And I went into the Paralympic Games doing javelin only, and it wasn't without pain and suffering that I came back with a gold medal. It's definitely worth all the time and all the effort.
Absolutely. Now, when you went back in 2013, obviously, I don't think when it comes to Rio 2016, you were thinking a javelin gold medal because you had all these other events. So when you then came back into the sport and your first world champs as well, how was that feeling? Because it's a lot of hard work as well to qualify. So for you to be able to make it and be selected in the squad, how was that feeling for you and your first world champs experience as well?
I think when you think of making a team for any national squad that's going to travel to a World Championships or Paralympic Games, there's a lot, like you said, a lot of hard work and dedication that goes into it, and a lot of emotions. Mm-hmm. And when I saw my name on Team South Africa's website, I just cried because you look back and you're like 10 years from 2003 to 2013, all that time you spent within the sport, including the time that I stepped away, comes back to you, and it just all flooded out. And I think going to France in 2013 was probably the most nervous I've ever been in my life. And what most people don't know is that I actually had a neck injury that that actually happened to me in France. And I had no feeling. I'm a left-handed thrower, and I had no feeling in my left arm. And I still managed to push on and get the gold medal. So I think because if you have a disability, don't ever think you're not capable of achieving great things, because every single important moment in my life, in my sporting career, has happened through injury.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean there. I can totally relate. And to me, then it sounds like also what you're saying is that you have the physical part that you will obviously have to train, but whenever you face any obstacles or any odds, it's really then just the power of the mind that needs to carry you through.
Absolutely. I'll give you a prime example. London 2017 for the World Championships. The night before my competition, my back went into spasm from my neck to my hips. I couldn't walk, and they were contemplating whether to withdraw me from the competition. And they gave me a pain pill, and the next day I went in and I still managed to get a silver medal with the spasm in full effect.
Wow. Sure. Again, I think this is really where the name Vanquish really comes in, because those are genuine obstacles. You're supposed to sit down. Just sit down, Reinhardt. You've done your part. You've qualified. Thank you very much. You don't need to go any further. But you still have the ability to go and continue and even medal while you are there. Now, were you obviously having every intention to defend your gold medal at this year's Paralympics?
I think the last 4 years I've had the intention of defending my title and coming home with a second gold medal. But obviously things didn't happen the way it should for 2020. And obviously the whole world's gone into this massive pandemic. and Tokyo 2020 has been postponed. And, there's times in one's life that either you have to say, okay, I'm going to carry on fighting this, and I'm going to try and get as many medals as I can. But at the same time, you also have to think of the next generation of champions and who's coming after you, because the competition has to get better every single year. And it's in my view, at least, it gets a bit boring if the same person's winning all the time. And I love seeing youngsters come up. I love seeing youngsters push me to my limits and then still go past me. And it was clear as day in Dubai. But as an athlete and as a South African, I always want to strive to bring back their gold medal, no matter what is put in front of me and no matter what pandemic.
Yeah, look, it's a very important spirit to have, but I suppose an important question is that during times like these, where basically your entire year is out completely, there's no Paralympics, there's nothing for you. Are you receiving any kind of support for you to keep on doing what you need to be doing, for you to be prepared for the next Paralympics next year? Or does everything come to a stop because you're not competing, you're not doing anything? How is the support?
I think in a sense, there is support as an athlete, but at the same time, there is no support because for my club, I receive sports psychology as part of a high performance squad that we are in. So I'm very fortunate to be able to have a really good sports psychologist that's helped me through this lockdown, through this pandemic so far. But definitely from a training point of view, there's been no assistance. There's been no even attempt to try and resolve things to get us back onto the track. So it's been extremely difficult. It's probably been the toughest fight I've ever had in my life to try and stay positive, to try and get back onto the track. But at the same time, you are at the mercy of a pandemic, and our government can only do so much so quickly. So yes, you need to do what you need to do at home, but that's also difficult because as a Paralympic athlete, unless you are fortunate and have the right team with you, you're going to have the right equipment. But sometimes having the right team doesn't really get you the right equipment.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, and I mean it's at least on my side, I'm feeling a bit sad that I am talking to a Paralympic gold medalist, and these are genuine issues that you are facing from a support point of view. But anyway, we strive on, we continue, we keep pushing. So what can we expect in the coming years from you? Is next year going to be your last Paralympics? Are you going to continue and do more Paralympics and more World Championships?
I think at this stage, because lockdown has had such a unfortunate negative impact on me that at this stage, I don't know myself whether Tokyo is going to be my last Paralympic Games, if Rio was my last Paralympic Games. So it's difficult because I think once I'm back on the track, the flame might just burn even brighter, and I'm able to push harder and go to Tokyo. But unless support can get better and commitment towards the support to us as athletes can improve, then maybe my viewpoint will change, and I could maybe say, yes, I will continue after Tokyo. But at this stage, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I I understand that. I understand that fully. But look, this is the first of many interviews. I think that there's a long way for you to go, and for many other South African athletes, Olympians and Paralympians alike. There's still a long way to go. So we'll definitely catch up with you on this show later on. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us here on Vanquish.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
All right, everyone. That was Reinhardt Hamman. He is a Paralympic gold medalist, and this man has achieved so much despite facing all the odds and obstacles. He did conquer them.